Learning Alert. Please stay tuned for this Learning Alert. Learning Alert. LearningEngineer.com. We engineer learning for efficiency. Listen carefully. The government and the grammar industrial complex don't want you to know this. Use the passive voice. There is nothing wrong with it. Using it does not make writing passive. Using the passive voice is a style choice. It is not a grammatical rule. So, what's the difference between passive and active voice? Let's start by looking at an active voice sentence such as Shark attacks surfer. Shark is the subject of this sentence. It is doing the attacking. Attacks is the action verb. It is what the shark is doing. Surfer is the direct object. The surfer receives the action of the subject. In the passive voice, we flip the sentence around, making the direct object the subject of the sentence. Now surfer becomes the subject. But the surfer isn't doing any action. In passive voice, the action verb gets a state of being verb, was, in front of it because the surfer isn't doing the attacking. The surfer's state of being is that they are being attacked. The passive voice always uses this verb phrase construct. A state of being verb plus an action verb. The shark now becomes the object of the prepositional phrase that starts with by, which tells us that the shark is doing the attacking. Writers like to use passive voice especially when we don't know who is doing the action. This sentence could be shortened to, surfer was attacked. Now, let's look at some famous examples of passive voice. Our first example comes from the Elvis Presley song, I'm All Shook Up. The subject is I. The passive verb phrase is am shook. I took out the adverb all. The passive construction is used here because we don't know who or what is shaking Elvis all up. The active voice construction would be someone shook me all up. It doesn't have quite the same effect, does it? The active voice is awkward. We focus on the unknown person shaking Elvis all up instead of on Elvis being shook. The passive voice allows us to refocus the eye of the reader onto Elvis instead of someone. Our next example comes from the group the Eurythmics. The song is titled Sweet Dreams Are Made of These. The subject is dreams. The passive verb construction is are made. And since we don't know what the ingredients of the sweet dreams are, we use the pronoun these. The active voice construction would be these made sweet dreams. It's awkward because the reader is focused on the unknown. These. Instead of the sweet dreams. Our next example, we have George Orwell, who famously told us not to use the passive voice, uses it here. In addition, the passive voice is wherever possible used in preference to the active, and noun constructions are used instead of gerunds, by examination of instead of by examining. This long sentence has two independent clauses and two examples of passive construction. Can you find the two examples of passive construction? Think about it. In the first independent clause, the passive construction consists of is used. In the second independent clause, the passive construction consists of are used. So, Orwell uses the passive construction to tell us not to use the passive construction. That's ironic. So, there you are. There is nothing wrong with the passive voice. For a more in-depth look at this issue, I recommend the article, Passionate About the Passive Voice by Geoff Pullum.